start fucking drinking. So the idea is to try to like really take those people and give them like a 6-month mentorship. The same thing, exact same thing that we're doing, but you know, helping them stay sober by fitness, nutrition, mindset, coaching, accountability, and even like things like helping them write fucking resumes to find jobs and all sorts of shit. So
Oh, that all makes sense.
so that's the big picture. But right now I'm just gonna keep pushing my ads and trying to find the right people and digging through and helping the people that are ready to like take their life to the next level.
Yeah, it's awesome. I'm glad I found you too.
Well, thank
It's
you.
kind of crazy.
Yeah. Alexandra, how are you? Michael, how are you? Parker, thank you for joining.
Hey, sorry, it's Alexandra. I'm trying to figure out how to unmute.
What
I'm driving.
All these people never know how to unmute.
It's so good to hear that you still DJ.
Yeah, I've tried to get out of it so many times, and I just get sucked back in.
I hear it's the same with me with the bartending and serving.
Yeah.
So I hear you, but you need those incomes to do what you're trying to do. So
well, that's what I'm saying. So right now it's paying for my advertising. So it is what it is. But I got out. I wasn't DJ. I didn't DJ for years, and I started DJing at one of the gyms I work at. And then the owner of one of the old bars I worked at found out I was DJing because he saw it on the internet. He's like, "Why don't you come back?" And I came back and did that. And next thing you know, I'm fucking got 3 gigs a week. So
that's awesome.
yeah, but it's good. It's giving me an opportunity to fund this and build this more and spend time. Like I work fucking 2 gigs a week, and that gives me all week to be able to work on this and work with people and talk to people and meet people. And so
focus on this.
It's a perfect situation. So I can't complain.
It's awesome.
Julie, hi, how are you?
Hi, JR. How are you?
Good. Thanks for joining us.
Of course. Good to see you.
Good to see you. I haven't talked to you in a while.
I know.
Well, not face to face, if we want to. I'm going to give it a few minutes, guys, and let some more people join in, and then I'm going to hand it off to Parker because he was kind enough to give up some of his weekend time that he likes to spend with his kids and family to talk to us. So I'm going to probably jump in pretty quickly. But Chance, tell me something good, my man.
Still sober, of course. Feeling fine, losing weight, knee feels great. So
hell yeah.
Still staying the course.
You always are, man. I mean, I call on you, but I know what you're gonna say, and I know the answer. So, but still gotta check in with you, see how you're doing.
Absolutely.
All right, bro. Let's see who else is in here that we can pick on. Everyone's hiding. Michael, tell me something good.
Something good. Got my grocery shopping done for the week.
Okay. We doing any meal prepping or what?
Killed it in the gym yesterday.
Hell yeah.
Feeling sore today, but feeling good.
Nice. How's the back going?
Back hurts a little, but those was it the Romanian
deadlifts?
Yeah, those kill me, man.
Yeah. All right.
They're hard on the back, but they're but we get them in.
All right. Well, we'll figure. I don't want you to hurt yourself, so we'll figure it out. Let me write a quick message to everyone and make sure they get their asses in here.
Yeah, we're good. We can let people filter in.
Okay. I know.
I'm chilling, dude. Just do your thing.
All right. Just want to make sure, I respect your time.
What's good, Coach?
What up, my man? How you doing?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Good, man. Just getting ready to get this party started, man. How you doing? Tell me something good.
I got a pretty good workout in earlier. My niece is over. Got to see my niece for she just got she just got home a little bit ago. They brought her over today.
Yeah, nice. You spend a lot of time with them, huh?
Yeah, I'm starting to, yeah.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah.
Getting your workouts in, eating healthy, sleeping good. What's going on?
Yeah, my sleep. I'm actually. I had a meeting with my my primary doctor the other day, and she ordered a sleep apnea test for me.
Oh, nice.
I'm gonna see. Yeah, I'm gonna see if the watch is really accurate or not. Everything else is good. It's just the sleep. I'm having a little trouble with my sleep lately, but
Do you try to stick to a schedule? Do you go to bed at the same time? Are you staying away from blue light? Are you?
yeah, I do. I'm not gonna lie. During the weekends, I fall out of my habit sometimes,
Yeah.
but for the most part, I do stick to a routine. I've always had trouble with my sleep, honestly, and
are you
I've tried different things.
are you working out in the morning? Or are you working out in the evening?
Usually in the evening. I'll do maybe one morning run, like one morning run a week, and maybe I'll hit the gym once during the week, like early. But most of the time, it's after work, like 5, 6.
Okay. Well, I was just saying because if sometimes working out late before you try to go to bed can disrupt your sleep a little bit, but I think I would say it's best to do it in the morning if you can, but if your schedule doesn't you know, line up with that, then it is what it is. You got to do what you got to do, you know?
I'm trying to get in the habit of actually going to the gym before work. I'm working on that currently, but that's
Good habit to get in because then you're, getting some early wins in and sets the tone for your day. You know what I'm saying?
yeah, no, definitely.
Okay. All right. Well, listen, let me pop around a little more and then we'll get started.
Hold
Helana.
on. The quickest thing that's going to change your sleep, Jeremy, is
Mm,
your step count. How many steps you get in a day?
I would say probably 10,000 average.
Okay. So do you not know for sure?
No, so when I track it, it's 10 that I don't wear my watch every day. I gotta start wearing my watch daily. But when I track it, it is, yeah, I want to say like 10,000, 11,000, somewhere between there.
Because I can tell you right now, you definitely don't have OSA. You're not fat enough.
What's that? Obstructive sleep apnea?
Very good. Look at you go. Yes. So you don't have OSA, homie. You're not fat enough. You don't have that fat neck. And the reason that that happens is that gravity's undefeated. Okay. So when we lay down, we got a fat neck. It pulls everything closed, right? So it probably isn't that. If you do have a form of sleep apnea, it's more severe than that, which would require surgery to fix it. So I doubt that that's actually the case. Do you wake up gasping for breath?
No, I have noticed I have been getting high heart rates in my sleep though, and I don't know where that's coming from.
That's more of a cortisol issue. Okay. So I promise you, if you become that person that gets 20,000 steps a day, which is a bitch, okay, 20K steps a day is a full-time job and it is a bitch. However, that is a surefire way to help your body recorrect, especially along the cortisol curve, and then properly implement carbohydrates with specific nutrient timing, especially leading up to bed. And maybe a couple, I wouldn't even call them fancy supplements. I do this a lot. I correct my clients' sleep Ricky tick because it's the first fucking thing I nail down. Because if they're not sleeping, they don't do what I tell them to do. Okay. So I've done this once or twice. What kind of supplements do you take for sleep?
So I was taking melatonin gummies only. That's the only thing I've been taking.
But don't currently.
I I don't know because I was getting too groggy from them. It was
Okay.
making a struggle in my work.
Yeah, you're only groggy because you're not sleeping. Because you take it and you don't sleep, right?
Yeah, no, because I fight exactly. I feel like I lay there with my eyes closed half the time. But
are you on the sobriety track?
yeah,
Okay.
I'm.
Go ahead.
What was that?
Go ahead.
I've been really well at that. Honestly, I'm smoking a nicotine vape. I've been smoking that a lot lately.
Okay, that ain't helping, homie.
No,
Right?
I know. That's definitely, and I've realized I've picked it up a little more recently. I don't know if it's.
Now that's it, but also don't get it twisted up because there's actually a weird correlation with nicotine. There's a certain milligram amount, and it's about between 4 to 7 milligrams, which can actually help you sleep. So it's actually kind of funky how that works.
Oh wow, yeah,
it's kind of nutty. But a Nicky vape is the worst thing for sleep. Yeah, Nicky vapes are the worst thing for sleep. But if you're hitting like a Zen pouch, what I do is I use Nicky gum, and Nicky gum is like the best kept secret, by the way, because everyone's on these Zen pouches, and I'm over here like I got gum. Nobody bugs me for gum, right? Everyone steals your Zen pouches.
Yeah, no, the Zens come in handy.
Yeah, but gum also comes in handy too because nobody knows what the fuck it is, and you can do it anywhere, right? Like nobody gives you shit for it. Like on an airplane, you pop a Zen in, you know what I mean? But if you have gum, like they don't care.
Yeah.
Anyway, so Nicky isn't even like the end, like it isn't even like, oh my God, end of the world type situation when it comes to sleep. but it definitely affects it. And then especially with a Nikki vape, because I bet you do it right up to, I bet you do it in bed, right?
No, yeah, I was about to say, if I'm not falling asleep, I'm waking up every hour or two and potentially pulling
And
it
take
a
a little
couple
rep
times.
and then like,
Yeah,
okay.
and then try and fall
Honestly,
back into it.
what do you do for work?
I work in the medical field. I work in cardiology.
Okay, what do you do?
I'm right now. I work like check in, check out,
Okay.
like referrals and stuff like that, insurance back end stuff.
Okay, so you're sitting at a desk then?
And that's actually something that I was talking to about my manager recently. Is they were putting in orders for stand up desks, and I was thinking about getting one or trying to get one, but it's kind of hard with the flow of the office to be standing at that much.
For sure, for sure. I was just trying to get an understanding of like what your activity was like during the day.
Yeah,
And
no,
are you
I'm
working
pretty
out every day?
active. Yeah, so I hit the gym, I want to say 3 to 4 days a week. But like the other days I'm rollerblading or I'm going for like a couple mile walks or jogs with my dog. So I
Okay.
mean I stay active.
All right. So because you're not sleeping, how much caffeine are you drinking in a day?
Oh yeah, I'm drinking a lot, honestly.
That's
Yeah, I
why
have a Red Bull right now.
Yeah, that's why you're not sleeping, homie. It's fucking 7 p.m. and you're smashing caffeine.
Yeah,
That it ain't no secret. That's why you're not sleeping, dude.
Yeah, no, it's hard to see. And then when I slow down on the caffeine, I feel the crash from that. And then I try to pick up, like I try to take more creatine. I don't know. I try to balance it some different way, and
For sure.
it makes me
because you
crash
gotta
even
show
more
up. You
if
gotta
I
show
try.
up for work, you gotta show up for life. So I get it. I totally
Yeah.
right. So check this out. Do you use any NAD?
No, I don't. I've been looking into it. I haven't actually.
Okay.
I haven't
So
got
like
into
honestly, get your sleep corrected because that's how your body fixes everything. Okay. You can't do shit if you don't sleep. And I mean that emphatically. You might be able to get by, but it's going to set you back in so many weird ways, and it's going to start to mount up against you in so many other weird categories, and then you're going to be scrambling, and then you get frustrated, and then it'll be fuck it, right?
Mm.
So make a plan to dip out on caffeine. You got to get away from that caffeine, dude. That caffeine is killing you.
So
How
what
many
do?
milligrams you up to? 800, 1,000 a day?
Yeah, some
Okay.
probably around there.
That's why you're not
Honestly.
sleeping, bro. It isn't OSA. You're not fat enough, so we know that. Tell them to save you some time and save their money, okay? Because it's not OSA. It's fucking caffeine and nicotine right now.
That makes sense.
Very straightforward, dude. And I tell you this: if you can make a good plan to get you some real NAD, NAD does the same thing in our brain that caffeine and nicotine do. It's a B2 antagonist, so B2 receptor antagonist. And it'll help you get past that caffeine withdrawal.
I recently tried I bought the NeuroGum off of TikTok. It has L-theanine. I've tried that. I don't know if that and like the 5
L-theanine for
MTHF.
sleep, but get it in a capsule.
Okay.
Yeah, get a high dose in a capsule. That'll do you right. And like I said, I didn't even talk about the supplements. There's lots of great little supplements that you can incorporate where you're like, oh shit, this makes such a world of a difference. And the reason I asked about sobriety, there is a very specific CBD, and there's 0 THC in it. Like I'm not weird about THC, and I'm sober, okay, but a lot of people are, right? And
yeah,
I get
no,
that, and it is whatever. Yeah. And also, it can be tied to their job too, and like they're weird about it, you know. But anyway, there's a very, very specific type of, and I do repeat that because I say CBD, and I feel like whenever I say that, people are like, "Oh yeah, I know what."
You kind of associate it with.
Okay, because this stuff that I'm about to describe is what is called a water soluble nanocannabinoid. Have you ever heard that? Exactly. So yeah,
sounds interesting.
It is literally, it is so powerful, it is so effective that it can stop a migraine dead in its tracks. The medicines they make for migraines can't even do that. Okay. Like it is that beneficial. So there are real awesome solutions that can be real quick and get you to the table. The first thing you got to do is stop drinking all that caffeine.
And what's this CBD gummy called?
You stop drinking caffeine, I'll tell you.
All right. Sounds good.
You see what I did there? It's called the carrot.
Another thing I've actually tried, methylfolate. I don't know.
Do not take methylfolate at night.
No? Okay.
Mhm.
Is that a good thing to take though?
Methylfolate is vitamin B12. So that'll
Okay.
get you a little jizzy jazz.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not going to get you, but also there's a ton of vitamin B12 quotation marks in all those energy drinks, right? Yeah, and see somebody else popped in there with NAD. NAD will fix a lot of these issues, okay? And NAD is going to fix a lot of the cognitive and neurotransmitting issues that you're dealing with caffeine, where it's like, fuck, I don't want to get away from caffeine because I got to show up every day. And I get that. So what you do is, first off, you got to get away from the energy drinks, because there's a whole bunch of other shit in energy drinks, okay? Be a man, drink black coffee. There it is. Like, for real. Get to black coffee, clean your shit up. Because I promise you, sleep. If you don't sleep, you know what's going to happen to you? Psychosis.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
You want to
that.
live on planet Earth, right?
Yeah, for sure.
For sure. Okay, because shit gets real weird. Trust me, I've been in psychosis many, many different times, and you don't want no part of that. Get your caffeine in order. Get away from the energy drinks. Start there, and you could do a quick turn. You'd be surprised. How old are you? 28?
Exactly. Yep.
Did I fucking nail it? No, it's almost like I've done this once or twice. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm being harsh with you because you need to hear it.
No, 100%. I with black coffee, flavored coffee helps. I'm starting to realize that. Without cream and sugar, flavored coffee definitely helps.
Yeah, the only problem with that is, though, it's you end up with like milkshakes, you know what I mean? Like, people go to
Yeah,
fucking
nah.
Starbucks and it's a goddamn milkshake, it's not coffee, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. So and black coffee just holds some really good properties to it. It's actually pretty beneficial for you. And it gives you that caffeine so you don't catch that headache and other bullshit that comes with that. Anyway, but you hit JR up, and he can hit me up if need be, and I'll clue you in, but don't be a bitch. Get off caffeine.
Caffeine, got you.
Like, for real. If you're out there pumping 800 millis, 1,000 millis a day of caffeine, you're being a bitch.
Yeah, it's a crutch at this point, I think. So
Exactly.
I'm realizing that. Yeah,
it's not OSA. You're not fat enough. Okay, so get that out your brain. That's not OSA.
You know what? The watch was tricking me, because the watch, I was talking to JR about this. The watch is telling me 2-3 hours, and it's not calculating in my head right. I don't know if the watch if I should stay away from the watches.
Is it just an Apple Watch?
It's just an Apple Watch, yeah.
Apple Watch does a pretty good job of tracking sleep. It's not perfect, but it does a pretty good job.
Okay. Yeah, so my sleep is just horrendous then.
All right, we gave it 17 minutes. I bought you some time. Sorry, I hijacked your meeting already.
Jared, no, it's all good, man. I know you like to talk a lot, so.
No, I don't like to talk a lot, but I will talk.
Well, you do. Okay, you do talk a lot. When the mic
once I start talking, it's a problem.
Yeah. Well, let's just jump right in. Do your thing.
Well, you set it up for me a little bit. What do you want me to talk about specifically?
Well, basically, we like to just kind of go over, your life in sobriety. You don't have to talk too much about, the past. Maybe just a quick, catch us up where it's, how it got bad, how bad it got, and then how you dug yourself out of the hole. I like to talk a lot about more than just the sobriety, but like the self-development work you did beyond sobriety that really got you to where you are today. Okay.
And that's what I meant, is like, because you know what it could be a month of Sundays me talking about that shit.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. So, and thank God, because I hate war stories. All right. Because
I stay away from those.
Yeah. So, hey guys, my name is Parker. My name is Parker Kuehn. And I'm an alcoholic. But no, JR filled me in a little bit as far as, kind of like what I would call mixed company in this room, as far as, those that maybe attend AA, those that really aren't into an AA scene. But I think everybody in this room is in the direction of sobriety, correct? Is that accurate? Okay. So, I just picked up 12 years sober on February 9th. So I've got 12 years of consecutive sobriety. Thank you. Appreciate that. And there's a ton that you can always start to ruminate on and reflect on when those kind of markers come up for you. But You know what the best part of it was is that it was just another day. Like, honestly, I fucking forgot that it was even going to be my sobriety birthday until like midnight the night before. I'm like, oh shit, I'm gonna be 12 years sober. You know what I mean? And I mean that in the best way, right? I mean that in the best possible way, because depending on how far along you are in your sobriety and maybe how much it's taken you to get to the table in your sobriety, you know, that can be such an overwhelming thing where it's like it consumes all of our thoughts and it consumes everything that we think about on a second to second basis, right? And so it's amazing that people like us, a gutter bottom garden variety drunk like me, you know, can get to this point where I'm 12 years of consecutive sobriety and I don't even realize it in the best way, because it's not all consuming. It doesn't take up all my fucking time and all of my bandwidth, right? I get to go live my life, which is the perfect segue, because that is the exact point of getting and remaining sober, guys. The point of getting sober is not to live in a fucking meeting for the rest of your life. I can promise you that, okay? Because that's not what I'm here to do. And I don't think that's what anyone else is here to do. I have dramatic love for AA. That is, AA is how I got sober, okay? And there are many elements of AA that keep me sober, but that's not the only way to get and stay sober necessarily, okay? And I'm just kind of giving a little preamble there as far as like where I might stand on some things so you guys understand where I'm coming from, because I think that's important. Because, you know, depending on who's talking about sobriety and how they start to talk about it, some people will just immediately click off because they're like, oh, it's one of these big book thumpers, you know, and they get an attitude about it. And then they don't hear some really beneficial things that might help them out. So, all right, we'll just start with this. My story is boring. That's how I would say it. I feel like my story is boring. Now, when I tell the story and like when other people hear about where I came from, you know, you get those big-eyed responses and like the holy shit, like I can't believe that happened. And like when I'm telling it, it's just like, oh yeah, that was another Tuesday, you know? Like I said, I don't love telling war stories and I'm not going to do that. How it went for me is probably similar to how it goes for a lot of people, I would imagine. And, you know, it starts off in kind of like the high school area, junior high school. So kind of young, honestly. Like, and by the way, realizing where it really started was a big part of the work, right? Was a big part of the puzzle for me, because it's very easy to get into the zone of thinking like my shittiness with drink and drug, my shittiness with drink and dry goods started like in my 20s. No, in reality, it started when I was like 13. You know what I mean? Like it started with a little taste here and a little taste there and a little dip there and a little dip there. And it just grew. Now, the thing that always stands out to me about this is that like the first time I ever tried drinking, I hated it, because the first thing I ever tried was like some shitty rum that I stole from my parents, you know, like shitty rum that they probably used for cooking, you know, like it wasn't like top shelf shit. Shitty rum they probably use for cooking, and I knew that they wouldn't miss it, right? So I just, you know, I siphoned some into a water bottle, and me and my friends are like in my basement, like trying to mix it with Pepsi of all things. So it was absolute garbage, tasted disgusting. You know, but thank God it tasted disgusting at that time. And like, anyway, we did our little thing. I didn't even get drunk. I just got sick. Like it was like, I don't like this, right? So as far as I ever thought, like from that point moving forward, and again, like about 13, 14 years old, it wasn't in my brain. And then this is the thing that I have noticed with so many people's stories, and I bet it would resonate. It's always the dumbest fucking situation that gets you, right? It's always the most unsuspecting thing and the dumbest situation that gets you, and all of a sudden there's the hook. The thing that got me hooked on booze, the thing that got me hooked on that alcohol, I was at a junior high school party, maybe 14, 15 at this time, you know, a little time had passed. And a friend shows up with a backpack full of warm Bush Light, of all things, right? And so I'm saying that to point out it was not glamorous. It was not glamorous at all. Like it wasn't this awesome party scene. It was just like a whatever fuck off junior high school party. We're out like in the woods adjacent to the house. And this kid shows up with warm Bush Light in a backpack. And it's like, okay, sure, I'll have one. And I'll never forget that moment, because that's that moment where I crack it, I get like 3/4 of it in, and all of a sudden, whoosh, the sunshine came up in my stomach and I was like, oh my God, I want to feel like this all the time. And that was it. That was it. It's the dumbest thing in the entire world, right? And I feel like so many people have similar stories to those kinds of things, where there wasn't this big, crazy, grand story or event or whatever. You know, it's not like they were at this crazy week-long party and all of a sudden, after the week-long of partying, they were addicted to Coke and booze. You know, like it never happens that way. It's always these dumb situations. Anyway, from there, it just gradually progressed, honestly. Like it wasn't this crazy thing where, because at the time I was still young, so I couldn't necessarily get my hands on it all the time, right? And so just it would progress. But again, looking back at like that starting point of like, how did this even start for me? Why did this even start? And then I can even circle it back to that stupid moment behind a friend's house in the woods with warm bush light. It's like, oh my God, like that, holy shit, that's what ruined my life, you know? Like, it's the dumbest thing in the world. As that progressed, and as I could look back on it all, it's like, oh yeah, no, you had those moments of addict behavior. You had those moments of just like drawn to it like a moth to a flame, because from that point on, I was always chasing that elusive high, right? I was always chasing that elusive drunk or that next drunk or that elusive high. And I don't even know at those times that I was even getting drunk yet, right? Like I was catching buzzes, honestly. You know what I mean? Because it's just like stupid little junior high kids into high school, whatever, catching buzzes. I wouldn't even say getting drunk. And then it finally graduates to the point where you do get drunk. You're like, oh, fuck, this is like a whole other level of I love this, you know? And it just went from there. And then all the dry goods started coming around. We were selling dope. We were doing all sorts of stupid shit we wouldn't do. And by the way, this is in the height of like the Oxycontin boom. So we were slinging our parents Oxycontin because they would have surgeries and shit like that. And we could sell an Oxycontin 80 for, you know, $200. So it was like, it was nuts. And one begot the other. And it's like Valium starts getting passed around. And then cocaine would show up. That was always a good time, you know. And that's what I always tell people. Don't ever do cocaine because it's fucking awesome. Okay. I got to make myself laugh when I tell these stories. Anyway, I'm just saying all this again to point out that none of it was this crazy grand story. None of it was like this glamorous situation, but it ended up turning into a really big pile of shit. And from there, from the high school days, I went straight into college, joined a fraternity. That is not a great environment for an alcoholic drug addict on the rise, you know? And it being in a fraternity, for example, did not turn me into an alcoholic drug addict. It just gave me an open playground. That's all it was. You know what I mean? From there, get out of college. And then that's when it really turned. That's when it honestly really turned, is because it's like, okay, out of college, go get a job. The first job I had out of college was law enforcement. So I was a probation and parole officer, and then ended up working with some 3-letter agencies involved with all that stuff too. So it makes you feel all cool and shit because the feds want to work with you because you have people on paper. Anyway, so I was basically the drunk drug addict probation and parole officer. That's really what I was, you know. And it was nothing glamorous, as I keep mentioning. It was just this situation where real easy to spin it up in your head, like, oh yeah, everybody does it. You know, you go work your 9 to 5, and when you get off work, you have a cocktail and you go from there, right? And that's just what I did for years, just what I did. And then I would sprinkle in some dry goods whenever I could. And in my head, I was having a great time, you know, like, oh shit, this is great. In our early 20s, living, you know, my wife and I at the time. And yeah, it just didn't seem like it was ever going to get bad. You know what I mean? It didn't seem like it was ever going to end up the way that it did. And with that, we all know how that goes. It's just one drink here and there, and then all of a sudden it's 3 massive cocktails and a 12-pack at night, right? And then from there, God, I just couldn't get there anymore, you know, so you had to keep upping the ante, as we know. And so eventually it just turned into a half gallon of vodka a day. And at that time, it also happened to coincide with all the other symptoms that come along with living in the dark kingdom like that, where you're not even necessarily getting drunk, right? It's like you have to just keep putting the alcohol in your system to stave off delirium tremens. And it was, again, in this reflective point, looking back on all that stuff, it's actually really wild and really crazy. And that's actually where all the war stories really start for me, is when I was a half gallon of vodka a day deep and running and gunning on other dry goods that I could get my hands on and making this really weird situation and cocktail of it all. Because you don't quite realize, like, oh, I couldn't stop even if I wanted to, right? You don't put that in proper context and proper frame. I couldn't stop even if I wanted to. And it just eventually got to this point where, and God, I'll never forget this. I'll never forget the day that I decided it was going to be a good idea to have a cocktail at 4:45 in the morning. You know, like, I'll never forget that day. That was a massive turning point, because I was just going through the cycles and motions of go to my 9 to 5, go put bad guys back in jail because that's where they belong. But I'm not a bad guy, even though I'm drunk and a drug addict, you know? And then when I get off work, it was just time to drink. That's all I was fucking doing with my life. And, you know, eventually that stops working, and you can't keep doing that to your body and have your body like be okay to show up at work the next day. So I got sick and tired of being sick and tired, but I wasn't ready for real solutions yet, right? So my real solution was like, fuck, you know what? I've always heard that like little hair of the dog will set you straight. And there it was. I don't know. For whatever reason, it just clicked in my head. And I'll never forget it too. I was watching Dragon, the Bruce Lee story of all things. Like, you know how you remember these weird details? I was watching Dragon, the Bruce Lee story. And I was like, you know what? It's time for a cocktail. Because I couldn't sleep, because your heart's beating out of your chest from alcohol withdrawal at that point. And I was like, what do I even do about this? I'm like, I got to go to work in like a couple hours. What do I do? I just poured a massive cocktail. And as soon as I got that cocktail in me, it was like whoosh. And I was like, oh shit, there's a new level of solution. I see how we do this, right? And it just went from there. And it got worse and worse and worse and worse. And it was like a gallon and a half of vodka every day, you know, whatever. It just blossomed into this ridiculous situation. Anyway, as it turns out, you know, if you keep showing up to work drunk, especially with a badge and a gun on, they will fire you eventually. So that's the way it went. And from there, that's when it really spiraled, right? Because all of a sudden I had to deal with all these real world consequences that were coming up, where it was like, oh shit, people caught on to me. Because at that point, you know, your family's caught on to you, everyone else has caught on to you, and you've done such a good job of keeping it quiet and keeping it in the periphery and keeping it off to the side and being real tricky and smooth with it, like all the hiding places you've got for shit, you know, stuff like that. And when it started to spin out that way, that is legitimately when the alcohol and drugs just actually wouldn't work anymore. Like, it was crazy. I can't like articulate it enough. I couldn't put enough alcohol in my body to feel anything from it, right? And we all know that with dope, we all know it with so many different compound substances. Like, I couldn't get drunk. This then started a whole crazy spiral of the medical issues that start to come up with these things and all the weirdness that comes with that. I got into this area of having full-on grand mal seizures, like the worst. I'm lucky that I'm not dead. And there are multiple instances where the doctors told me like I was basically dead, but my heart like had one last beat in it. So I didn't actually technically die, but I was almost dead because I didn't have any potassium in my system. I didn't have anything. Because at this point, I just decided to stop eating because it only got in the way of drinking, you know? So I'm trying to be concise with the story. Like I said, it could go on and on and on. And I'm just trying to give like a detailed account of like, hey, this is how it went. It was kind of boring, but some war stories did come up in it. And the war stories that do happen right here, right? And that's usually how it goes for most people. It happens when the sickness gets so real and so deep that there's just no escaping it. And I'll never forget the first time that I had a full grand mal seizure. I was driving. Guess where I was going? Liquor store. So I was in the middle of mowing my lawn and it just hit me. I was like, oh, you know what? I need to go to the liquor store. So I just left my fucking lawnmower in the middle of the lawn, half mowed, whatever. Got on to the freeway to head down to the liquor store. And the next thing I remember is waking up in a hospital bed with a doctor sewing my tongue back together and my family standing around me. And the crazier part of this is I didn't get a DUI because I didn't have any alcohol in my system, right? And that's why I had the grand mal seizure, right? So coincidentally, is because I didn't have any alcohol in my system, so I had that seizure. I didn't hurt anybody else. I didn't crash anybody else. I didn't crash my truck. My truck just, while I was having the seizure, somehow my truck just drifted off to the side, and the tire just itself up against the side of the freeway embankment right there. And there was an off-duty paramedic behind me that saved my life. So talk about a God shot, right? Was that enough to get me to stop drinking? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Because that's not how we roll. That's not how alcoholics work, right? Anyway, I had to give you at least one little war story. So with that little war story, it just went on from there. And the war stories go this way and that way and up and down and sideways in every direction you could possibly think of. Until it gets to the point where enough is enough. And, I'm very fortunate to have people in my life that love me enough to tell me the truth and love me enough to keep putting me in position to detox and keep putting me in position to get some stuff out of the way so that I might be able to get into treatment, for example. And that's the route that I was eventually able to go. But I had to go through some harder shit before that, where it was just more seizures and basically damn near dying, and at times basically dying and then being revived, all sorts of fun shit. So after a number of detox rounds, and another crazy grand mal seizure situation where I ended up in the hospital again with basically the doctor sewing the other side of my tongue back together. And my family wasn't there that time, just my dad. So wife, nobody wanted to have anything to do with me at that point. I'd been kicked out of my house, all sorts of fun shit. And I was voluntold to go to treatment at that time, right? Which is usually how it goes. So I headed off to Phoenix, Arizona, where I did my first round of inpatient treatment. And from there, I was able to get a couple days sober under my belt. I wouldn't even say sober. I would say clean. Okay. I would say I got a couple days clean under my belt. So I was able to put together, 30 days in treatment clean, and they kick me loose. I go home and I get it in my head like, well, I'm never not going to have a beer again for the rest of my life. That sounds stupid. So I was already done. I had already lost, right? I had already fucking lost before I ever even got back home from that treatment facility. Anyway, I white knuckled it there for a good 6 months. So I was real proud of myself. Like, I haven't had I was just clean for 6 months. I was not sober, right? There's a massive difference. And for whatever reason, I don't know, it was kind of around like my birthday, actually. I just got it in my head like, oh, you know what? I've been clean for about 6 months. It's time. It's like, for whatever reason, like, it was just in my head, like, it's time. And right then and there, it's not as though I just like walked down to the gas station and grabbed a 12er of like Miller Lite. Oh, hell no. I went back to the scene of the crime. I went back to the liquor store to make sure that I got some high point alcohol beer, right? I don't want shitty beer for my first time back. So I want like really fancy, like craft beer and shit. But all the beer that I selected was like 9% alcohol, 10% alcohol, just ridiculous. So getting 3 of them in you when you haven't been drinking for 6 months will make you feel pretty good. So I did that. And I was like, oh shit, this is great. Like, this is nothing like it was. And I'm doing what it says in the big book and what I've been hearing so much about with all these meetings that they've been dragging me to. I'm drinking like a gentleman, right? Oh yeah. So after I smashed those beers that night and I woke up the next day feeling great, you better believe my ass was back at that liquor store the following day, grabbing a 5th of vodka, right? And then the day after that, I was back buying 3 gallons of vodka. And then from there, it just went hard and fucking fast. And thank God that it did, right? Thank God that it didn't like go on for years after that. But, within, let's see, my sobriety date is February 9th and my birthday is January 6th. So within that time frame of January 6th to February 9th, it just went so hard and fast that nobody knew what to do with me. I basically just lived on the floor drunk. That's all I did. Yeah, for that little time period there. And everybody had had enough. And, at that time, all they kept doing to me was throwing me into a detox situation to see if they could help me sober up, help me clean up. So it just made it worse because I had all sorts of alcohol stashed around the house and they'd put me through a 5-day detox, whatever it was. And while you're in detox, they'll pump you full of Ativan, right? So you have a whole bunch of benzodiazepines in your system. And then I already knew where all my alcohol was stashed at home. So I'd get kicked loose. I'd go home and I'd just crack the bottle and back we went, But that didn't work out so hot. And again, weirdly, thank God that it didn't. Everybody, wife heads out of town, people are out of town, nobody's there to supervise me. And I couldn't even get drunk. Again, like I said, couldn't get drunk at this point. So in my head, I'm doing awesome because I don't feel drunk. I'm doing awesome. But I didn't realize what my actual blood alcohol level was, right? And on top of it, having all that benzodiazepine in my system from going through 3 different detoxes within 12 days, I was just in rough shape. I was like the perfect recipe to be unalived real quick by accident. But thank God mom and dad had like that premonition in their head, thank God they're like, man, something's not right. Something's not right. We need to check on him. And sure enough, they come check on me on this fateful night on February 9th of 2014. And they crack open the door to the house and they peer down in the basement and they can just see me on the floor. And as far as they know, I'm dead, And there's a lot that had happened there. I had fallen down the stairs and fell through the wall and then landed on the carpet on the floor, but that's a basement. And so it was just cement. So I landed really hard on my ass. And in my head, I'm like, oh, fuck, this hurts. I need to lay here for a minute. But as I lay there for a minute, I just passed out. Right. And I almost didn't wake back up. And the next thing I know, I woke up to the paramedics pricking my fingers and sticking me with needles and doing all sorts of shit. And the cop standing over me. And all of a sudden, once I come to a little bit, they kind of get a little rough with me. And they're like, hey, because again, I was law enforcement, so they know who I am. Right. And they were sick of my shit too. They wanted to see me get help and see me get better. So they're like, all right, motherfucker, I know there's weapons in the house. Where are they? And I'm like, fuck you. I'm like giving all sorts of attitude. They're like, okay. They just slap me in cuffs and they face drag me up the stairs out of my own house and then throw me in the back of an ambulance. And then they strap me down to the bed in the back of the ambulance. Right. So I was in handcuffs while also strapped down to this bed in all sorts of different 7 sheets to the wind situation feeling. Didn't know what to make of anything. But thankfully, at that time, I had been to enough AA meetings. I had heard enough people speak. I had had enough of the little knowledge that I needed to be able to do the next right thing. And at that moment, that's when I knew. I was like, I can't do this anymore. I can't fucking do this anymore. That was the first time I ever prayed in my whole life. That was the first time I ever prayed, was bouncing my ass in the back of an ambulance in handcuffs, strapped to the gurney, on my way to the hospital to be pink sheeted in for like the 15th time that month, That was the first time I ever prayed. And what I prayed for was, God, I can't do this anymore. And I will do whatever I have to do. If I have to go to treatment again, I'll go to treatment again. If I have to get divorced and move to a different state, I'll do that. If I have to die, I'll die. But I can't keep doing this. And that was it. That was it. That was the last day I drank. That was the last day I put any illegal substances in my body. That was the last day of it. And I've been sober ever since. So tried to keep that condensed. I'm sorry if that ran long. That I was just trying to give a little screenshot of where I was coming from. Everyone has their own story and everyone has their own war stories. Okay. I do want to make things clear though. It doesn't matter what your war stories are. It never does. It never does. Okay. Your war story, the worst day of you drinking and drugging will never, ever, ever, the memory of the worst day of you drinking and drugging will never, ever, ever be powerful enough to keep you sober. Ever. It never will. So I just want to stamp that one right here and there. Like, yes, we all have war stories. And sometimes it can be beneficial to hear like, oh shit, people can overcome some really crazy situations in life. So yes, that's beneficial. But what's more beneficial to understand about it is that those war stories don't matter. What matters is the work that you do to get and stay sober. That's all that fucking matters. Okay. So anyway, that was the path that led me to sobriety. Fortunately, from that point on, getting pink sheeted into the hospital that time, I got back into treatment. And you know what? It was actually kind of nutty because I wanted to go, right? Because I had already made that promise to God, like, hey, I will do whatever I have to do. And fortunately, it opened up the way it needed to open up. And I got exactly what I needed in that moment, you know? And I ended up back in an amazing treatment facility with amazing people that saved my life. Right? Saved my life and gave me a life, and showed me how to build a life, start to build, because there's a lot more that has to come after that. And then that's what JR was talking about. Like, hey, you know, where'd you come from? How did it all start? That's how it started. It wasn't glamorous. Okay. It wasn't glamorous. There's a ton of fucking details there. My drinking and drugging career was 15 years long. Okay. And it was literally sex, drugs, and rock and roll and the shit they write movies about. But like I said, war stories don't matter. What matters is what got you to the table and what keeps you at the table. That's the only thing that matters. So getting to these points where, you know, as I understand it, there's a lot of mixed feelings in this room, right? There's a lot of mixed feelings when it comes to AA versus, nah, fuck AA. I can get sober without AA. Am I right about that? Who wants to chime in and tell me? Nobody's brave enough? All right. Well, this is what I'll tell you about it. Is that AA, you have to realize there is more than one way to get sober. I have yet to see anybody really get and remain sober without principles of AA in their life. Okay. Now, that doesn't mean that they're some big book thumper and that they attend 5 meetings a fucking day and they're still afraid of their own fucking shadow. Okay. Because that is what you find in AA. That is what you will eventually find in AA. Is one day you'll be in this room and it'll be a room where you used to love being in that room, loved hearing the messages and loved the recovery that was coming your way in that fellowship of AA. But all of a sudden you're going to be in that room and it's going to be like, what are y'all doing? What are y'all doing with your life? Because as far as I can tell, yeah, there's a ton of sobriety in this room. This guy's got 30 years. This guy's got 50 years. All these old timers, all these grumpy old fucks. None of you have what I want. None of you have what I want, which is the whole point of AA, right? Or a massive part of it that helps move it forward. And so all of a sudden you find yourself in this room like, none of you have what I want. In fact, none of you have what anybody really would want, as far as I can tell, because you aren't living. You're just over. I don't know why it thinks I'm raising my hand. I'm not. You aren't living at that point. It's these people that are just basically waiting to die sober, because that's the only thing they have going for them in life, right? So I say that to point out that I totally get when people have a weird sense of AA and when they have a weird taste in their mouth about it. I totally understand that. I spent the last 12 years in AA. I have held every service position you could possibly imagine in AA. I have chaired so many fucking meetings I could even count. You know, I have no idea how many I've done. I sponsored 25 men at this point. And interestingly enough, of the 25 men that I have sponsored, only 3 of them successfully navigated all 12 steps and are still sober. That's how small of a percentage you're actually working with, right? And I don't think that's a shock to anybody in this room. Hopefully it's not. And I don't mean to sound dramatic or anything like that, but I think it is important. I think it's important to point those things out. Like, hey, you know, this shit's hard. This shit is hard, and it's okay that it's hard. There are solutions. And as I mentioned, I have yet to see anybody really successfully get and remain sober without principles of AA in their life. This is what I think the problem with AA is. The problem with AA is not the material. The problem with AA is not the instructions. The problem with AA is the people in it. That's what the problem with AA is, when people can't quite bring themselves to the table on it. And again, I totally get that and I understand. As I mentioned, I found myself in rooms where it was just a room full of people afraid of their own shadow. And if I hadn't gotten out of those rooms, I don't know where I'd be today. I'd be I wouldn't be living the life that I get to live now, because eventually, guys, the point of getting and being sober is to live your fucking life and to elevate your life and evolve in your life. So you can't allow yourself to get trapped in these rooms, as I keep mentioning, where people are just afraid of their own shadows. Okay. Now, that being said, if you're also, though, really obstinate about the tenets of AA and the principles set forth of AA, you're also missing it. You're missing it entirely. Because even if there's programming out there or different approaches to sobriety, they got the idea from AA. They got the ideas and foundations from AA, and then they just tailored it to be less like AA. That's usually the case, right? The one amazing thing that always stands out to me is that the Big Book of Alcoholics Anonymous was written in 1935. And I can't think of any other book that was written in 1935 that still applies to every single thing the same way today in 2026. It's wild. It's wild that those two people that got together and put this book together, and they didn't do it for money. There was zero profit in it. There was zero upside for them other than like, hey, one of them was a very, very heavy alcoholic. He's like, I need a solution. And I feel like other people do too, right? That's a pretty, I don't know, that's a pretty benevolent endeavor, right? So it's pretty admirable that way. They didn't want any money from it. You can still apply every single thing in the Big Book of Alcoholics Anonymous to your life today in 2026, and it was written in 1935. In fact, it makes it even funnier when you do read it, because some of the shit that's written in there makes no sense. It's like, I thought it would be a good idea to mix whiskey with milk. Who the fuck does that? You know what I mean? Like, it's some of the funniest shit sometimes. Actually, I probably would have done that. So as I say that out loud, I definitely probably would have done that. It's like, sure, maybe it'll make it easier. Maybe it'll make me feel better. Anyway, guys, I'll wrap it up because I could ramble on and on and on forever, and I don't want to hold the meeting hostage any more than I already have. So you'll always hear this, whether it is in a personal development direction, right? So whether it's a personal development direction, whether it's a sobriety direction, whether it's like a sports direction, like a football coach, anything, like all these environments, right? What do we always hear? Do the work, right? Do the work. And you always hear that spilled out to you like, oh, yeah, do the work. Oh, okay, that makes perfect sense. If I do the work, then it'll all get better. Sure. That's the surface truth to it. Cool. What it's really about, this is the shit that people don't talk about because it scares people off the ledge. So why don't we tell the truth in this room? And the truth is, what it's really about is time. It's really about your time. Now, when I say that, yes, there is truth in we're all only working with the same 24 hours, okay? So we're all sober today, if we are, okay? And if we're fortunate enough, we get our head gets to hit that pillow sober tonight, right? But what I mean by it is like, no, it does matter when you've got some months and years put together, years more specifically, okay? It does matter. And I'm sorry if that hurts somebody's feelings, but it's important to tell the truth. And the reason that it matters is because you don't know what work you need to do until you get time in. It is literally impossible to know what work to actually do until you get time in. And I see JR nodding, right? Like, you have no fucking clue what work you really need to be doing. You know what work other people are telling you to do. You know the little shit, right? In the beginnings, you have the same kind of beginning areas of work that a lot of people are going to regurgitate on you and tell you what to do. But to maintain your sobriety, to evolve and elevate your life, it is impossible to know what work you need to do, to know what work you've actually done, to know what work you're currently doing, and to know what work you need to do moving forward without time. So get committed to time. Stop being impatient. You're not going anywhere. You're either going to be sober or you're not. That is the truth. There's no other way around that. If you don't want to be sober, you don't have to be. Nobody's going to hold your feet to the fire, okay? But if you do want that life and you want that sober life and you want those promises to come true in your life and you want what we all have when we have 7 years of sobriety, right, JR? Right? And then 12 years. I don't know what other numbers we got floating around the room, but I bet there's some good time in this room. Okay. If you want that, commit to time. Commit to time. That's what's going to change it all for you. The time is going to show you the work that you have done, the work you're currently doing, and the work you need to do. Just saying, just regurgitating out there and using that rhetoric of do the work, and it'll keep you sober. That doesn't mean shit because you don't know what work to do. And then this is the other portion of it. And you're in this room, so you already go in this direction. If you're an AA person, get a fucking sponsor. You need a sponsor. You can't do it without a sponsor, okay? If you're not an AA person, like I said, it already shines because we're in this room. You have a mentor in JR, and I'm sure you have other mentors in this room as well. You need those guides. You need to be able to follow the footprints in the sand that came before you. You need the blueprint. Anyway, I'll shut up from here. Thanks for having me, guys. I hope you got at least a little something out of my stupid story.
No, that was fucking awesome. I appreciate you. Does anybody have any questions they want to ask? Feel free to come off mute.
Yeah, go for it. You can ask me anything.
Where's Alana? She always asks a question. Oh, Jeremy, you're breaking up. Hold on. Is everyone? Oh, you're breaking up, Jeremy.
We'll circle back.
Yeah. Oh man. I don't know. Well, Jeremy, we can't hear you, but if I don't know what's going on. I think you have a bad connection or something. So if you can fix that. Nothing? Okay.
Can you buy the AA book?
Sorry, what now?
Can you buy the AA book?
I'll do you one better. They're free.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, no way.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
I'm on the other end where I don't do the AA thing, so I'm just like trying to follow the same principles because I live in a super small town, so they only have like the churches run their like sober living things, but they don't really have groups or anything yet. So
Okay.
but
you know what, one of the honestly, you know what, one of the best things to do is get the app. So you can get the Big Book app on your phone. I believe it costs about $4. And the only reason it costs money is because they had to pay somebody to put it together for them. But $4 is a small price to pay, but you can get a hard copy for free, 1,000,000%.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. Because like what you were saying about the being written in 1935 and that it still applies.
Yeah.
Like, okay, I think I want to read this book then, if that's
so right there though, that is where it gets a little tricky. That is why you need a sponsor.
A sponsor. Okay. So even still, how would you go about getting one for somewhere, I don't know, like how do you do that if you're not in AA?
Well, it doesn't take much to be an AA. You just show up and say, I'm an alcoholic.
Okay. Like what if they don't have programs where I'm at though, you know?
Where are you at?
I'm in Glendive.
There's
Montana.
online. There's online options as well.
Yeah,
Is there?
But
Okay.
sorry, I didn't catch that. Where are you at?
I'm in Glendive, Montana. They're like a town of like 7,000. So
okay,
maybe
I bet
5.
you'd be surprised, dude. I bet you'd be surprised.
I also haven't looked. I'll be honest. I haven't looked.
So
but
I bet you'd be surprised.
Okay.
You know what?
There's a meeting
Google it.
app. You can if you download the meeting guide
Yeah.
on your Apple store. It says literally meeting guide and it's a picture of a chair. You put that in and then you could put in your zip code where you're at and it shows you all the meetings within certain you could,
Oh, really?
channel it to
Okay.
different miles from you, whatever you want, but call meeting guide.
Meeting guide. Okay.
I forgot about the meeting guide. Thank you for that.
I have a question, Parker. I'm Alexandra. Thank you for your share. That was amazing. And congratulations on how many years you have.
Thank you.
Yeah, AA is it's wild. So my question is the sponsor thing. How long did it take you to do the steps, and did you do them?
Oh, that's a great question. That's a great question. So my first sponsor, there's actually kind of a funny story there. My first sponsor, we were chugging right along, and it seemed to be going like pretty quick. I don't know, like 3 months in, we were kind of like halfway through the steps, let's say. Or we were leading up to the scary step that no one likes to do, which didn't scare me, which is step number 4, by the way, if anyone's ever heard that. Which I find hilarious. I couldn't wait to spill my guts, JR. Like, Steph, I was fucking ready.
I was excited for that one.
I was excited too. I'm the nerd over here who's like, oh, I got this. I'm gonna write it all down. I'm gonna blow your mind, right? When I told my sponsor after I went through my 5th step, he's like, and and I'm like, oh. Anyway, sorry, I got sidetracked. But Alexandra, to answer
No,
your
I'm
question,
stuck on step 4. That's why I'm laughing.
right. See, yeah, right. Okay, so it's a great question. So, my first sponsor was a slapdick, and it was funny. I was supposed to he was supposed to meet me at a meeting one night. He didn't, and I'm standing out in front of the fucking meeting, and he doesn't show up, right? So I go into this meeting. The meeting's huge, and it's one of those stupid, huge ass meetings where it's basically just all birthdays. I can't stand those meetings because they're pointless. Okay. But it was all birthdays, right? And so, right at the beginning, they're like, hey, any newcomers? Anybody need to pick up a newcomer 30-day chip or newcomer chip, right? And my fucking sponsor stands up, and I'm like, what the hell? Right? So he was up in the front row. Exactly. So he had gone back out, and he didn't want to tell me. And anyway, that was my first sponsor. So I picked up my second sponsor. The funniest part of that is my second sponsor used to be one of my parolees. I was his probation and parole officer for years, but I actually knew him my whole life. So it was just kind of a full circle moment anyway. Picked him up as my second sponsor, and he's the one who actually took me through the big book. And it took me and he made me start over, by the way, which any real sponsor will make you start over. Don't get pissy about it. Just fucking do it. Okay. If you have to. Because it's beneficial. And by the way, going through the steps once, nobody says you only do it once. Okay. If you're really doing it, you do it a number of times. Because life changes and things evolve, and things in your life change and evolve. And there's probably some things that you need to account for in like an additional 4th step, for example, in an additional 9th step, for example. Anyway, the first time getting all the way through legitimately my 12 steps was 18 months.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, that helps a lot. It's
Were you feeling like, oh shit, I'm dragging ass?
Like you said, you have to reread it, reread the book, redo your steps. I've had a few sponsors, and so I restart every time.
Yeah.
And it's intense. And then who do you trust? And another thing about AA is it's almost like a.
Can I point something out, Alexandra? Can I point something out real quick? It's much harder for women. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And you have a female sponsor, correct?
Yes.
Okay, thank God. I just wanted to double check that. And guys, if you don't know this, men sponsor men and women sponsor women. Okay. If anyone tells you fucking different, they're trying to pull something on you. Okay.
Yeah.
And the only time that's decently acceptable is if like someone's gay, okay, and they don't have a sexual problem. Mm-hmm. So outside of that, men sponsor men and women sponsor women. But it is harder for women, Alexandra. It is much harder. Women have to deal with things so much different socially. And to be quite honest, the sexual inventory is going to be really fucking hard.
Yeah, it has been. It's true.
Yeah, it's going to be really hard. Men, we kind of get away with some shit. Okay. We kind of get away. Just being honest.
It's true. Yeah.
Well, we get away with some shit when it comes to the accountability that we have to present, right? The accountability that we have to present in our step work and show up to. Also, the fellowship comes much differently to us than it does for women. Women tend to be coming from a much more traumatic situation.
Mm-hmm.
if you're a woman in recovery, yeah, you've got a fucking sexual inventory, I'm sure, because I'm sure a lot of weird shit came up, and I'm sure a lot of weird trauma from it, and all sorts of other things. And that just leads you right into, who do I trust? How could I even tell anybody the truth? Because the truth tears me up every day. I can't be judged by other people for my truth, So if you have a solid sponsor, well, and your sponsor is making you start over again, that's awesome, because it means that they're a sponsor worth having.
She pulled back and said that I have more experience than her because I've worked in a rehab, and even though that she has 9 years under her belt, she says I have more sobriety, just because I've been in and out of the room since I was 15, even though she has more days.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying? So
yeah, no, I definitely get what you mean.
So yeah, like she restarted, but the sponsor. Yeah, you have to have a really good sponsor, and she hasn't. I don't think really. I'm her first sponsee, is what I'm trying to say.
Oh, you're her first.
Yeah, I need a really good sponsor.
Yeah.
Not saying that she's not that.
No, absolutely not. I totally understand. And you know what? I bet she would agree.
Yeah, she does.
Honestly, Alexander, how old are you?
I'm 39 and I'm 600 days today.
Yeah. Okay. So you got 600 days today?
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
I just turned 40 on January 6th. So we're the same age. We're coming from the same zone. Okay.
Yep. Yeah. Our birthdays are near each other too. That's cool.
Oh, right on. So you're Capricorn, even better.
No, I'm Aquarius.
Oh, God damn it. Anyway, get a new sponsor.
I am. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Parker.
Yeah, unfortunately, I'm sure she's a sweetheart, and I'm sure that she knows her stuff. I don't know that her sponsoring a repeat offender, I'm just going to call it what it is, a repeat, and I say that with love, okay?
Yeah.
But I don't know that her first sponsee being a repeat offender who, she views as having more experience is going to be the answer.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. If you want a real sponsor, go to the fucking Alano Club, go to Fellowship Hall, wherever you are locally, okay? And you go find the crustiest old lady in there that you can. I'm dead.
Yeah, no, you're right.
I'm dead serious. That will get you so sober, so fucking quick. You have no idea. And I say sober, by the way, because there's a big difference between being clean and being sober, guys. Clean just means I don't put something in my body. Sober means this is how I'm living my life.
It's true.
Yeah.
There's spiritual sober, and there's just not drinking, and that's basically what she was trying to say to me.
Yes. Yeah, exactly.
You have to do the work, like you were saying, and I'm trying to do the work, and she's just very stagnant because she's not.
Okay. Well, so do you see why I attach the time frame to it?
Yeah.
Sorry, not time frame, but the understanding that you need to marry yourself to time. Because everyone's always looking for this graduation date, right? Everyone's always looking for this graduation date, no matter what we do. Whether it's sobriety, whether it's sponsorship, 12 steps, whatever. Everyone's always looking for this graduation date. Well, we never get to graduate being sober. It's never coming. You're never going to graduate. Now, you will get to a point where the shoe's on the other foot for you, and you're the sponsor, and you have sponsees. You have your own little minions running around. But that's all that you graduate to.
I disagree. I disagree. Politely, I disagree.
Are you an AA?
But I am. I'm a secretary too for the group Conscious. We do business meetings as well. So I mean, I'm part of it, I think it depends what meetings you go to too. You to find a good sponsor, you have to go to different meeting groups. You have to explore, because some groups are not going to appeal to you. Some are going to be, I don't know. It just depends. That's why I just say, search out different groups, and that's why as the meeting guide is really good and beneficial because You can go anywhere in the country, actually the world, and use the meeting guide, put in your zip code, and it'll direct you to a meeting wherever you're at. But also it took me 5 different sponsors because
Yeah.
every time I got a sponsor, either they're busy or,
But they go back
you
out.
know, right, or they go back out, right? But there are some really great meetings and there's a lot of great things to learn, and it's a spiritual based program.
It is.
You know,
And that's why I say you never graduate. It's just a
right, you
continual
don't, but you
spiritual.
do. What's fulfilling about it too is if you get to the point that you could help other people stay sober. Now, it's not up to you, it's up to them. But, you know, to see and walk in the rooms, to see people who first got in there and strangled themselves in there, you
Mhm.
know, because they had to, or they, you know, whatever, or because they're willing to, you know, and to see the transformation that happens within. The steps are good because they help you to live a day-to-day life, you
Sure.
know, with, you know, giving yourself, you know, of surrendering yourself continuously, daily to your higher power, which I choose as God,
Mhm.
you know, and then throughout these doing these steps, you get more of like a spiritual ascension, you know. You don't graduate, but you get a sense of peace and joy and fulfillment within yourself that, you know, you living your life constantly worried about when am I going to get the next drink? When am I going to get the next drug? You
Mhm.
know, it's being in a constant imprisonment, you know. You actually break free from that. Now, as far as going to meetings, you know, you graduate from, not graduate, but you,
No, so
when
right
you're in the
there,
first part of
I agree with
recovery,
you.
you,
I agree with
in
you.
first part of recovery, you go to
Oh no,
you
I
go
agree
to a
with
lot of
you. That's why I
meetings
was saying you'll
because,
find yourself in those rooms where people
yeah,
are afraid of their own fucking shadows, right? What
yeah,
is this, guys?
right,
Like, no, this ain't it.
yeah,
So no, I completely agree
yeah,
with you. Like there are like elements of it for sure that you graduate in.
right.
But I
And there are
one
shitty
thing,
people there
yeah,
too. Don't get me wrong, but you learn to weed that out. You
for
learn to
sure.
take what you can from it, and then you learn to weed that out. And yeah, and then you learn to live life on life's terms. That's what it's all about, living life on life's terms and learning how to deal with things, not how to not to react, but to, you know, uh oh God, what's the word? I can't even think of it now, but you're not living in a state of reaction anymore. You know, you're now, how am I dealing with things that are coming about? How am I choosing to deal with things? How am I choosing to get through challenges? How am I choosing, you know, my thoughts, and how do anyways, but it's different for everybody. Everybody has their own experiences, you know. Um, but and I appreciate your share, by the way. I'm sorry.
Thanks.
Part coming on and talking. So,
Oh no, I don't
you
care
know.
at all. But I think it's funny because like I actually think that you and I are like in total agreement, actually. Like it's
Mhm.
the one part I'm pointing out, and maybe it didn't come out right because but yeah, you know, it always comes out funky
Mhm.
sometimes, or it sounds weird because I suck at talking. But it's no, you just don't graduate from sobriety. That's what I mean. I actually do think there are kind of these weird elements where you kind of do find some graduation points of AA. You know what I mean?
Mm.
Kind of like what you were saying. Like for myself, for example, like I don't, excuse me, I don't take on any sponsors anymore at this time. I'm not trying to do that. You know, I'm not trying to sound mean about it, but it's like I did my time. Like some other people
Yeah.
step up and sponsor these guys. And then beyond that though, like I'm not trying to just live in a meeting my whole life. You know what I mean? Like
Oh
it's
yeah.
yeah, it's so much more valuable. And that's the word, right? Like that is the understanding. Like what's actually valuable? Like, is it
Mhm.
valuable for me to go fuck off to a meeting every night where I hear where nobody ever gets past step 3? Heaven forbid we talk about step 4. But by the way, guys, most of the time when you're going to an AA meeting, unless it's like an actual big book study meeting where you progressively study the big book and the step work and things like that, or even like a 12 and 12 meeting, you know, there's different types. But it's kind of more of a generalized meeting, a topic meeting, for example. They usually focus on the first 3 steps and that's it, because most people in meetings are a lot more on the newcomer side or newer side, right? And they haven't quite gone through the steps yet. And so it can get a little frustrating that way too, where you're like, fuck, like it's like this message on repeat. I want to get further into it. You know what I mean? I don't know if you can nod along to that with me, but that was a lot of my experience in a lot of ways.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, what I like about meetings is I don't go all the time either,
Yeah.
but when I do go to a meeting, at least there's something in there that I got to hear, whether I'm having a shitty day or a great day.
Yeah,
There's
like
something that
I earned
somebody
my
just
seat
says
today. Like you get
that
that
really that I
feeling.
needed to hear,
Yeah, like I
and it's
earned
kind
my
of like
fucking
free
seat today.
therapy, in that
Yeah.
aspect. I mean, depending how you want to look at it, but there's always just something, not everybody, but there's always something somebody will say that, like, you know what, I needed to hear that today, and that really, it kind of sets your mood in a different, you come in, you know, uh, exhausted and just fed up with life. You're still sober, but then you go in there and you come out, you're like, oh my God, I feel so much better,
Yeah.
But again, not, you're gonna have holy rollers, high rollers,
Oh
people
God.
who think their way is the highway and that's it, wherever you go,
And
you
that's what
know.
I was pointing out. It's usually not
Yeah,
AA that's the problem for people. It's the people in it, right? And
right.
sorry, and when I say that,
No,
more specific, it can be the people in it, like depending on what,
right.
and you're exactly right. And that's what I was trying to get at. Is like, yes, you need to branch out. Like there's more than one meeting, there's more than one way to skin a cat, as they might say. Like you need to go
Yeah.
experience some different vibes. And honestly, this is what I would highly recommend too. If someone is in the AA direction, and by the way, guys, I know not everyone in this room is stoked on AA and they have their own feelings about it. So I'm not trying to push AA on anybody. Not at all. I honestly, I couldn't care
Mhm.
less. If you're sober and you're here, I fucking love it. Okay. But if you are in this direction of like, you know what, maybe I do need to catch some meetings. Maybe I do need to like put this in my life and actually really, really try it. You know what I mean? Um, go to a men's meeting, go to a women's meeting, okay? Because when you're in co-ed meetings, people are showing the fuck off. Okay, they're showing off and they're embellishing the shit out of a share, right? And we've all seen it, and it's just, and then sure enough, you see them like having a smoke and a joke after the meeting, and people are exchanging numbers and they're 13 stepping it all the fucking time, right? And that's what I found in a lot of like co-ed meetings. I'm not saying all of them are like that, but it's just like find those meetings where it's like you have to be weirdly accountable because it is like an all women's meeting, and an all men's meeting. And not all of the all women's meetings or all men's meetings are created equal. There can be shitty ones of those too, like where catty fucking women and like shitty guys in a meeting. It's just you have to be pretty selective.
I will say this though, there are some wonderful people though that you can meet, and
Oh, absolutely. I'm not
thank
trying to shit on it.
I
I'm
mean,
just
like,
I'm only pointing out the dark side, aren't I? Like
yeah, no, it's
I'm talking
okay, it's
shit,
okay.
huh?
I get it, I get it. You get that wherever you go, you know what I mean? But as far like, if you just keep sticking around, what I mean, you'll find the group of people who are, kind of like your tribe or your people in the sense where you get along with and you're sober with and you're able to talk with consistently on the daily, like
Absolutely.
women with other women. And of course
Yes.
I talk to other men there, but not in that aspect, but there's also other meetings. There's Celebrate Recovery. There's also Zoom meetings, AA meetings, with actually Meth Anonymous. There's Cocaine Anonymous. I mean, but again, it does after a while. It's like, well, do I want to keep reliving the past? No, you don't want to keep reliving the past,
Yeah.
but keeping the steps in place. That's why I like AA. My thing was more drugs than was alcohol. I really didn't care for alcohol, but mine was drugs.
Sure.
But the AA spirituality, the principles
For sure.
were, what really helped me, and especially because when I went through my war stories and my shit, God is the one I'm telling you has helped me tremendously. And that is intimate to me and to me only. And it will be
Yeah.
intimate to you and to you only.
Yeah.
But when you work those steps, they really help you just really put things in perspective. And it's just not the steps, just the 12 steps. If you don't want to like download, look on Google what the 12 steps are and read
Yeah.
them over.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
say the
Yeah. It's nothing
serenity prayer,
harsh, right? It's not like this harsh thing, right?
Yeah, no,
No, it's not harsh at
no,
all. And
yeah.
you know what I love about what you shared, by the way, is
Hmm.
because you were more in the dry goods direction, right? Like sure, like
Hmm.
you would drink, but that like wasn't quite your thing.
Right,
Right. So, but what
right.
you pointed out is how weirdly much more valuable actual AA is than NA is. right? And
Right. Well, the spiritual practices they put in place and versus it doesn't. But
it,
you know, and
and
alcohol is a drug. I mean, I just replaced alcohol with drugs. You know, it's still the same shit. It still gets you to the same point in life, desperate
exactly.
and completely in dark places. You know,
Well, this is
and
what I was going to point out about it is that
lost.
like with NA, with like NA or CA and those things, they're still good. Okay. And I've been to plenty of NA meetings and plenty of CA meetings, right?
Mm-hmm.
But here was the thing that I found with it is that a lot of people in the NA meetings and NA and CA circles, they were under the impression like, oh no, it was just dope that was my problem. It was just some sprack that was my problem. You know, it was just getting tweaked. It was just a little bit of dope that was my problem. I can still drink. You know what I mean? Like they haven't associated the fact that alcohol is like the strongest drug of them all. Whereas like you go into an AA setting and they're like, no, you can't do shit. You're a fucking addict. And here's the blueprint of how to get out of it.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And so
I
I just
also encourage
appreciate,
people.
go ahead.
Thank you. Thank you.
I just
I
appreciate
encourage
like you're
people
taking that
also to
direction.
keep challenging themselves. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to talk over you.
Oh, no, I think it's like on a delay is the problem. I'm
A
sorry.
little bit,
It's
yeah.
okay. It's okay. Anyways.
But no, I appreciated how you pointed out because it's important. I think it's important for people to hear that, honestly, because it's a slippery slope, is what we're pointing out. Like if you just go to NA or CA, for example, you might get it in your head like, oh no, it's just dry goods that are my problem. I'm still an adult, I can still drink. Okay. You start getting drunk and shitty all the time. What are you gonna do? You're gonna go cop dope. You know you will.
Mhm.
You know, like it's just gonna lead you right there.
Gotcha.
All right. Anyone else before we get off here? I know it's been a long time, so thank you for the ones that have stuck around. I know some dropped out, but that's all right. Well, Parker, I appreciate your time.
Of course.
Yeah, I really do appreciate you doing that. And is it okay? So I'm gonna I record these and usually post them in the group and put them on my YouTube channel. You're okay with that?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. And everyone, I'm going to post Parker's link in the group so you guys can all follow him on Instagram. And if you guys have any questions, I'm sure you can just drop him a line on Instagram as well. And if you need anything from me, let me know. Other than that, let's all have a good night and start our week off strong.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thanks for putting up with me.
Good night.
Thanks. I appreciate
Bye,
everything.
Parker. It's good to hear from you.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Parker.
Thank
Putting up
Thank
with me.
you.
Of course.
Bye, guys.
Thanks, guys.